I think we need a summary of college until his like senior pastor job in Omaha, just like a quick timeline of that.
Yeah. Summary of college to pastor.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. I think you're right. Yeah. I wrote the same thing down, so it's good.
And I think the next, I hardly had any questions unanswered.
Yeah. I wondered if I
wanted to hear maybe a statement of,
oh, I know.
that was like things blew up.
Okay. Yeah.
When Shannon found emails.
Okay.
Like to condense that, like, because I see the story, that's the first time we hear about an affair.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
in a way to get there, I don't know. Lee's probably fine if we could help him craft that statement.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sure.
To just be clear about it and get there in a basically try to, if we can add some mystery to it. Like
hey, I didn't say. There's so many things that I didn't say that I've said many times before when I've told the story, and one of them that I've said many times because it's how I felt was like that morning was like the day the bomb went off, and just left everything in. So if you want to say that, it's
not bad.
The morning it blew up.
That's great.
I call that morning ground zero sometimes.
Yeah. I love the stuff you talked about, just saying like, I was always just terrified that this was going to be found out. Like, so you knew.
Okay. I thought it was a little confusing. It sounded like you went to the mountains with Shannon, so I thought it would be good if he was just like my buddies and I. At one point he said Brian, but we don't know who Brian is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to clear that up about like, without saying like when I was a child, or basically since I was a kid, we would always go to the mountains. But
I just thought it should be, so about 2.5 years after this happened, my
closest friends or buddies.
Could it just be invited me? I mean, unless you planned the trip, but I
planned the trip, yes, but
Yeah.
does that matter?
No, you could just say my buddies and I went to the mountains.
went
on a trip to the mountains.
Yeah.
We were still going. The 2 years before that we had gone.
Yeah.
It's just
My buddy, all I want to know is that they went, like he went to the mountains with his friends.
Yeah.
It just kind of sounded like
We just need a good transition of like setting that up so it's not just like.
I think it's important that we know it's a couple of years after, because to me I was like, oh God, that's a long time of just like, I thought it was like right after.
Yeah.
That's a long time of
I
hopelessness.
think that's important.
Okay.
That I think I wanted to get a clear Are you writing all this stuff down or notes on it?
Right here.
Okay. The you being on a business trip, flying back home, like just a clear statement to transition into.
Yeah.
You just tell me what you want me to say.
I will.
Yeah.
You did that.
I think it's kind of like
You and Johan did that with me on the mountain.
Yeah.
Like, say this. I was like, okay.
But to almost
It's
to say
not
like
my words. It's
yeah.
just
No, it's fine.
We're just helping you
yeah.
craft it. But I think to say like, and if this is true, but like at one of my lowest points, I was flying back home.
Yeah, that's good.
From a business trip.
And that's it, because you can just.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell the whole thing again.
Nope.
Or do you want
No.
Well, you could say.
I mean, you could say
you
go
can get going.
into
I can
it,
stop
but
you whenever it's
to? Okay.
good. Okay. Somebody's at the door.
Amanda.
Chris. Oh, it's Amanda. Is it clear that he had an affair?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can get that with this. I think maybe when you say the bomb dropped,
right.
like
Yeah.
Shannon found out that I had been having an affair for the 2 years, however long, better
That's
part
good.
of, part of 2 years.
Okay. I don't have anything else. I felt like the timeline stuff was the biggest, and then the Mountain Man thing.
I would like to hear maybe a timeline of, it's been what, this was 2009? 2011? 2009.
Was when things blew up. I mean, when Shannon found the emails.
2009. So the timeline, it's been like what, 7 years. I would want to know, like, it wasn't even 2.5 years when your marriage was like, this is better than it's ever been. Or, like, just to hear, like you said, we've got everything we would need after that, but just to know, 6 years, 7 years later, it was 2009. Now we don't need to have to be too detailed, but just to hear a time frame of, like, it was a hard.
I think if I could just say just in,
6 years, 7 years.
Yeah, that's good.
Whatever.
You softball that to me so I'll get it right.
Okay.
Or just tell me verbatim what you're going to say.
Okay. No, you could. I mean, I kind of like the way you said it. You could just say, like,
It is. The timelines are a little tough, because there's several milestones.
Yeah.
You got when it first started, when it blew up, when I had the experience on the mountain, and they're all little sections there. It's like small compromises all the way to an affair, everything blows up, wilderness period, mountain top experience, mountain men begins, and then here we are. So there's segments there.
I mean, I want to know that it was a process, because even like you read in some of your letters on the trip that Shannon would write, you still are like, it's not like.
Absolutely.
It's not 100%. Like, this isn't totally brand new.
Yeah.
Like, in just to know that, like, it's still like trusting God's we're gonna keep growing closer.
Yeah.
So I just want to know that it's a process that, that it took. I mean, it was years.
Yeah.
And Chris had said that last night. That's like, I don't want this to assume like, oh, you have an affair, and like 2 years later everything's
Right. No.
awesome. That's all it takes.
From the time the affair started, or even just from the day it blew up. I mean, it was 2.5 years before we really started taking ground, and then 2.5 years.
That I want to hear you say
hell,
that.
And then 2.5 years, then we actually start to take decent ground, and that takes quite a bit of time to really come out of the woods. But we were coming out. It was like going down in a pit, and the mountain top was the bottom. And then we start coming out. I can at least see that I'm coming out.
Yeah, at least feel like we're going in the right direction now.
Yeah.
And then I just had another question I want to hear you speak to, because, this is the thing that I wonder about is, like, God doesn't waste anything. God didn't waste this tragedy in your marriage and your family. But, like, to speak to that, and also speak to, like, and maybe this is more personal than anything, and it doesn't make sense for the story, but, like, I always think, like, was there another way I could have gotten here?
Yeah, sure. I think about that all the time.
And
you mean without the affair?
Yeah, without having to go to those depths.
Yeah.
Like, could I, like, I don't know, and maybe I don't even know if there's an answer to that, you know? But
it's a good question. I think you and I talked about that a little bit whenever I was talking to you on the phone, just that I have struggled with, if I could go back and not hurt the people the way I did, I would, but
will that change where I'm at now?
Yeah, I wouldn't change the things that I learned and the ways that I encountered God through it. So I don't know how I'd say this. For myself, I don't think I would go back and change it. For the church and for Shannon, I would if I could.